I look at every issue. I look at every comment as a learning opportunity. Okay, well, you're going to be doing gigabytes of learning, because you don't have any like pushback mechanism. That means, okay, you're going to be drinking from the fire hose. Like, your learning opportunities will be endless.
Well, we have Sylvan Franklin in chat. Have you seen this guy?
Yeah, I like his channel a lot.
Oh yeah, you've seen him?
He's also a philosophical guy.
Yeah, he's into Adderall. He's not into Adderall. Apparently, he's not in the last few videos. Sylvan, are you still into it or not? Or you haven't decided yet? We had a live stream. Let me tell you about this. We had a live stream planned. We joined, all of us, and he never joined. And I was like, Sylvan, are you joining? He never joined.
That was the day he stopped the Adderall.
Yeah, man, crazy. No more Adderall, he says. And he got put on a psych ward that day, so that's why he didn't join the live stream.
If I double click on this, see it opens in Kitty in a Neovim instance. That's what I want. Ghostty. Ghostty is not giving me this.
I see.
They pretend that it is possible, and I think they're wrong.
Okay. Now that you mentioned Kitty as well, I had an interview with Kovid. He's the creator of Kitty.
I watched it.
Oh, you watched it? What are your thoughts? Because I had a bad image on Kovid, to be honest. Because I don't know why, just videos that you watch on the internet and you just follow along, and after the interview,
because of his comments on the issue track.
Yeah, exactly, because of that. But
he's not shy about he won't just say you're wrong, but let's say you should feel bad. I don't know if that's true. I'm spreading misinformation, but like he's not shy about adding a little spice to I'm not like trying to bling out my shell so that it has like all these colors. Yeah, exactly.
Pimp my shell.
Well, Kickstart has gone off the rails. I don't know what Kickstart is doing now these days. It was supposed to be like a minimal thing that like is commented and shows you how to do things, and now it's like
a distro or what?
Installing the universe and just doing all this stuff that...
How do you get to normal mode?
I use control left bracket.
Oh, really?
That's the goated way.
Why, Justin? Can you explain why?
Once you get used to it, you won't go back. I tried JK. JK is terrible.
No, KJ, the other way around, because this finger is faster.
You do both.
Damn, just like this.
You can map them both.
Are there alligators in Florida?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Are you used to them?
Go golfing. If you go golfing, you'll see alligators.
Yeah. Are you scared of them? People's like, what is this conversation about? Are we talking about Neovim or what? What's going on here? Are you afraid of...
We're getting into the spicy segment of the show.
Yeah. What are the plans when you're no longer around? Let's say that one day you decide, no, you know what? Emacs is for me. So I'm going to jump off and I'm going to go to Emacs. What's going to happen to Neovim?
The people that want to extend stuff, or the people that have like particular tastes. And if you have particular taste,
right?
No, you're not going to bait me into this kind of thing. The whole distro thing is kind of an accident. I think probably Linus himself is kind of like puzzled by this whole situation because he's working on a kernel. He just wants to get his kernel on his computer, and then like all these different flavors of user space stuff is like...
If you're listening to this as a podcast, remember that it was originally recorded as a video. If you're not following along, you can go to my YouTube channel. My username is linkarsu. And if you want to support me to keep this podcast going, you can donate in Ko-fi. I'm going to leave a link in the description. All right, so let's get started with this chapter then.
Hey, yeah. Justin, what's up? How's it going?
Hello, Link. We're just hanging out.
Yeah, I see a little bit pixelated there, but that's gonna fix in a little while. It's gonna be on and off, I guess, but it's good. We're gonna survive.
I mean, that's what New York City internet gets you, I guess.
Oh yeah. So you're based out of New York then?
I'm here for now.
Oh yeah.
Exploring.
Oh.
I'm an explorer in a dangerous part of the world.
Oh, really? And
I'm a pioneer.
Yeah. Where do you usually hang out? You like being in New York a lot, or you like staying in another state most of the time?
I like Florida. I
Oh yeah.
like Berlin.
Oh, where are
Yeah.
you originally from? Are you from the U.S. or from where?
I'm originally from Florida, I guess, mostly.
Oh, okay.
Technically, I was born elsewhere, but in the U.S.
Okay. So, Justin, really appreciate you being here, man. It's Sunday, and really appreciate your time. The goal of this conversation is just get to know you a little bit more. I think there's a lot of videos of you out there, but I want to ask some questions, and probably chat has some questions as well. So, really, thanks. Really appreciate your time.
Well, yeah, that's a nice, relaxing format. Takes the pressure off because I'm
Yeah.
kind of unprepared
Oh
as
yeah.
usual.
Okay. Now, there's a question that I have and that I would like to start with is, why do you do all this? Like, why do you put so much effort into an open source tool like Neovim? What's the purpose? Is it ego? Is it you love the tool too much, or
That's a good question. One that I have asked myself. Probably anyone who's working on anything probably asks that, and should. You should be sure that you're working on the right things. It's somewhat of an obsession. It's somewhat of ego, probably. Like, I like to be right, and if Neovim wins, then that means I was right, and all the people that really kind of dumped on it in the first few years were wrong. A lot of them have just kind of faded away, but there was some famous or infamous or just a bunch of nags on Reddit in the first half probably of Neovim's life that just were relentlessly kind of irritating me with their drive-by opinions. And yeah, I don't know. That's probably not a good reason to put lots of time into something. There's probably other reasons, but I'm like branching off into this one tangent just because it feels cathartic, but that might also be unhealthy. Yeah, so they were wrong. Neovim won, and it turned out to be useful. And but ironically, there's always the larger picture to think about, which is like, are text editors, even still relevant? Will they be relevant in 5 years or 10 years? So that's always something I revisit that at least once a year, although I think probably I've beat it to death by now in my talks. So I'm not going to talk about that in my talks anymore, because I think I've beat it to death. It's good to just like ask questions and make sure you're on the right path for whatever you're doing. Obviously, like that's kind of a trivial thing to say, but it's something that projects probably don't do. Like, if you don't have that kind of like, this is partly beaten into me from Amazon. I've been working at Amazon for a while, and so.
You still work at Amazon?
Yes.
Okay.
But like, so one of the uncomfortable but productive habits that you get from there, if you're going to stick around, then you eventually will have to accept this habit, and it is a good habit, which is, at least once or twice a year, they have something called OP1, where they kind of write down some goals and lay out, a path. The takeaway there is just, writing down like one page of whatever, and then analyzing it and lift useful information that, even though like in the back of your mind you might think it's obvious, but if you don't really ever like pause and focus on any particular thought, then it will eventually, like, the cached conclusion that you have for that thought or assumption will get stale. And so you actually do have to bring it to like the foreground of your mind, and maybe of your team's mind, because teams are an organism, just like your brain is like a organic thing that can actually like discover useful answers to stuff that you haven't revisited in a long time. So once a year is a good time, is good frequency to do that, probably.
At certain point in what you were saying right now, you mentioned that you got hate in Reddit at the beginning. Why was that? What was the complaint like? You remember?
Yeah, I mean, one guy liked to complain that we didn't support Cygwin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the earliest complaints on Hacker News, of course, was like that we dropped support for old operating systems. But that's one of my favorite examples to trot out because, like, it turned out that Vim didn't even work on those operating systems. Like, the code was there, but it was just mostly dead code. Because Vim at that time didn't even have a CI.
Mm-hmm.
When Neovim was first founded, so that was like a Neovim innovation was to have CI that runs on every commit. And I think maybe a more general complaint was just that we were diverting energy from one project because forks are assumed to do that, which is it can be a valid complaint. But yeah, it's probably not worth rehashing. But like for the 2 years before Neovim was founded, like Vim was basically in maintenance mode at the time. Mm-hmm. And this was like explicitly said by Bram on the mailing list. So it was founded in a different time. And then you could say, well, okay, like a year or two later when Bram changed course, then maybe we should have folded back into Vim, which we would have been happy to do. Like, and I still to this day think of Neovim as basically like a branch that hasn't been merged back into Vim. Mm-hmm. Like they could do that at any time. Like there's no real reason that like clipboard needs to be implemented with 5,000 lines of code instead of just like 5 lines of code in the way that it's done in Neovim. I don't know. They will continue to do what they want to do, and I also don't think that like I think it's definitely obvious in hindsight, but the fork in this case probably brought more energy into the space than just subtracting from it. Like it probably multiplied the energy. And so both projects have thrived since then relative to where Vim was in the previous decade. You can look at like any kind of metric. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not just like population increase that Vim kept getting more users. It was like both Vim and Neovim have gone somewhat. The rate of new users increased, and at the time, like Vim was actually maybe flattening. Mm-hmm. And also, you can look at like donations. That's another metric. Reddit subscribers to the subreddits for Vim and Neovim. Like, there's all these different kinds of signals you can look at that just make it hard to argue that a fork in this case was a cost instead of a benefit. I do agree with, and I understand the sentiment about like dividing energy. Like that's a valid thing, and it is certainly like in most cases forks fail, and so the initial response will be derision because a lot of times they're forked without really knowing what you're going to get into, and the people forking stuff just aren't going to stick around
for too long. Do you think that Neovim moves faster than Vim? I don't know how it is on Vim now that Bram is gone, but do you think that's different between the two projects?
Oh, there's no question. Neovim moves probably 10 times as fast as Vim, though. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons is that you can contribute core features as Lua. And that was one of the original goals. And one of the reasons why we didn't just fold back into Vim in the first place is because there's all these kinds of like architectural and like project layout approaches that were clearly, at least to us, things that needed to be adopted in Vim, and just like also giving more people the right access to the main branch. Which is something that didn't happen really until very late in Vim's lifetime. Like I think Christian Brabant technically had right access, but he never wrote to the master branch directly. Mm-hmm. And it was also just more of like a cultural thing, where it's like no one felt that they had ownership over any particular subsystem. except for Bram. Bram owned all of the subsystems except for maybe like a couple, like the Python interface or something like that.
Mhm. And how is it with Neovim? Are you the dictator, the Neovim dictator? Do you take all the calls, or how does that happen?
I don't know. I'm not an expert in every subsystem at all. I try to have a mental model of every subsystem so that like at least one person, hopefully more than one person, but at least one person can tie things together and think about the system holistically, like as a, an integrated whole, so that we aren't, because if you don't have that, then it kind of turns into just like a bunch of inner platforms that are like not really working well together, and that that accretes over time, and it won't be obvious at first, but like 5-10 years later it will be obvious, and it'll be hard to untangle later.
Okay, you mentioned also about Neovim's popularity. I got to know Neovim because of Prime, because I watch a lot of YouTube, and I saw this guy. I used Vim in the past in servers, and I hated it. The first few times I used Vim, I was like, why do people use this? It's awful. HJKL, insert normal mode. I was like, no, this is not for me. But I searched on YouTube and I found Prime. And I found specifically when he moved from Vim to Neovim, and I was like, okay, so should I go from to Vim or should I go to Neovim? Prime said Neovim. I went to Neovim, straight ahead into Neovim. Do you think Prime has to do a lot with the popularity that Neovim has in this, past few years?
Yeah, without a doubt. And TJ too.
TJ, of course.
And you and all the other podcasters that are kind of talking about it and exploring it and thinking about it, that all helps. So in a way, YouTube itself is responsible for some of that, but I assume it's also, there's some of that for emacs, but I mean, yeah, there was an inflection point there, and certainly Prime at the time. That all happened kind of without me even noticing, because I'm not a big consumer of like live streaming coding, which I think is where Prime came from, probably, right? Mm-hmm. Like on Twitch and stuff like that. Like I've thought about being a producer of that, but not a consumer.
And why haven't you done it? When is that happening? People would be highly interested, I think.
It's just one of those things on the to-do list. I think I will try to get around to doing it maybe next year. Part of it is the discomfort of like accidentally revealing a password or something like that. Like,
leaking your IP like Prime has done multiple times. Well, not his IP, but the VM IP. Yep.
Yeah. And so the solution to that is maybe to like have an isolated environment. Right? Is that what you do?
I have 2 monitors. On this monitor and my laptop. And I have some rules on the window manager and macOS so that when I'm using 2 monitors, all of the sensitive stuff goes to my MacBook, Yabai moves it automatically to that. So even if I open one password or sensitive stuff, email or something, it always open there if I'm using 2 screens, right? So that happens when I'm streaming. So not completely safe, but helps, because I don't want to open my calendar and show it on stream. I don't want to open my mail, my password manager, and all that stuff. So yeah, 2 screens when I'm streaming, and that has helped a little bit, I think.
I think I mean, there's more than one reason that I think probably it makes sense to isolate one's development environment fully, like plugin supply chain attacks, npm supply chain attacks.
I've seen those videos lately. Yep.
I just I need to get around to like finding a good setup for that.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that specifically? Now that you touched on it, plugins and security, the trust that we should have with plugins, and how careful we should be. Would you like to talk about any of that? Because people just find a repo on GitHub. It's a plugin, new plugin. I'm going to install it. How can you trust? Because once you install a plugin, it can do basically get your private keys, SSH private keys, send them somewhere you'll not even notice, right? So is there something you want to share about that?
It's been on my mind a lot, especially in the last year, because for more than one reason at work, we had a pretty close call that was in the news. And then before that, there was the Geotan thing with the XZ tool. And but it's always been in the back of my mind since forever. Like it's kind of hilarious that npm still to this day doesn't really check signatures like in a meaningful way. Doesn't check package signatures. The signatures that are in the package lock JSON are just kind of like optional, and they like there's some, it doesn't enforce them somehow like fully. Like I don't remember the details, but so it's all kind of like the whole computing stack of the world is YOLO. This is just amazing. It's amazing. I mean, in a way, it's like it's a reason for optimism, because you can see how much humanity can build, and it's mostly just based on decency. Like most people aren't trying to do supply chain attacks. Like, but it is also just crazy how much of the world rests on decency and not being that guy.
Exactly.
But yeah, with respect to Neovim, like, so there's more steps I want to take, but I did do some work to clean up some old contributors and remove write access for them. But going forward, we need to think hard about more structure around that, because there's some creative things you can do with GitHub Actions, CI, and whatever. Maybe like even things that Neovim doesn't own, but are used commonly to fetch Neovim. Those can be compromised. So we need like operational security that kind of limits the number of people that can do things in our repo without at least some visibility. Like GitHub has some mechanisms for that, but some of it will probably require scripting. Some of it will require like teaching developers new workflows for committing stuff. But we also don't want to be like cumbersome, because the current model where people have ownership and they don't get blocked waiting for someone to commit their stuff, that's very effective. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning. Well, I installed Neovim on my servers, but they're mine in my home lab, right? With all the plugins and all that stuff. And I shared it on Reddit, and there was a guy that said, hey, no, don't do that, because of security reasons, right? If you work at a company, what would you say someone, let's say you're working on AWS VM, would you install Neovim like in a machine that is ran, at the core of the operations of the company? Would you install Neovim there with all its plugins, or would you use like a vanilla Neovim installation? I'm talking about security reasons. What would you recommend? Or do you keep Neovim locally and you access the Neovim, the machine, via SSH from Neovim? Or how would you handle that? Or do you have any recommendations there?
Well, there's a few answers to that. Like, and this is one reason why having a nice stdlib standard library, i.e. defaults and other batteries included stuff in Neovim itself is useful, is because then you only have one entity that you have to trust.
Exactly.
And like I trust Neovim because I'm watching it like a hawk. But this touches on a couple other things. Like we helped package maintainers with the ability to create reproducible builds. Like the Debian project had a campaign to make sure that all their builds were like fully reproducible, so that when you do a rebuild, it doesn't have a different signature on the binary, which was which is something that I think Vim still doesn't have, because Vim always inserts a date into its binary. So every build is different. Although I think probably in Neovim they patched that to work around it, maybe. For plugins, there's a couple mechanisms. Like one is like a lock file. And so you can pin stuff to known good versions. But this is part of the reason why minimal plugins are a good thing, or at least desirable, because I do look at the source code for plugins to see like what they're doing, and if they have 20,000 lines of code and maybe even like external dependencies, then I feel less comfortable using those kinds of plugins, especially in the scenario that you described. But another longer term answer for this is that, like, once we get around to integrating WebAssembly in like a more meaningful way, we've started down that path. We've done some initial work down that path, but like we can go a lot deeper. One of the things that will come out of that is WebAssembly has the concept of capabilities-based security. So it'll be like an Android app where if you install an Android app, it asks you if you have to give it explicit permission to like read files off the file system or make network calls. Mm-hmm. So it would be super nice, like if when you're installing a Neovim plugin, if you could just say this thing cannot make network calls. That's pretty nice.
Oh yeah,
like
that makes sense.
It's fine. Like it's completely if it reads your file system, that should be mostly harmless. If it can't make network calls and it can't invoke CLI commands, shell commands.
Oh, pretty good idea. Yeah. Yep.
But doing that probably means we would be routing those things through our WebAssembly integration. Like we don't want to reinvent all that. We're probably like, once we have that like WebAssembly integration in place, then we can reuse that for maybe Lua plugins. Or maybe we just say like, you need to ship your plugin with like wrapped in WebAssembly somehow, and we could help make that easier.
You don't want Neovim to show up in the news, in hacker news. Neovim hacked. Neovim caused an AWS outage. How would you feel?
Yeah, I don't know. Like Neovim is full of security bugs. I can tell you that right now. Like this is not our focus. Like if you're running Neovim, then you can run any shell command on that system. So I don't know how we would lock that down without this, different plugin model.
Yeah, you have to do it at your own risk and know what you're doing, and basically trust, the plugin creators, the plugins that you're going to install. And that's one of my other questions or other topics that I want to touch on as well. What are your thoughts on distributions? Like, just let me give you an example. lazyvim, right? I don't know about plugins, but I trust Folky. I don't know if he goes to each one of the repos and reads all of the source code for each one of the plugins, but he's experienced. He knows what he's doing way more than I know, right? So I have that seal, that backup there, that it's approved by him. Hopefully nothing bad's gonna happen to me because he's behind that. So what are your thoughts on distributions? Are you in favor?
That's a good segue to that topic, because that is actually an important role for a distribution. If hopefully they are accepting that role. It's probably don't want to assume it. Like they probably should say explicitly, like, we take a close look at these plugins before we upstream them into our tree. And if they do that, then that's actually a great use case for those distributions, because in a sense they're kind of like acting like a package lock file. They're acting like a maintained lock file. Like regarding distros, other aspects of distros,
be honest, no one's watching. You can say whatever you want. You hate them, right?
No, I'm fine with them. Like I think something that I've tried to express every now and then is that every human is at a different stage of their journey. It's not the greatest word, but they're at a different stage of like whatever the context is that they're currently focusing on. So like there's tons of people where their context is not focused on their text editor. They just need a tool. And we've done a lot of work and are going to do a lot more work next year to make Neovim a really useful and cozy feeling tool out of the box, so that you don't have to like make a choice about whether you want to invest in it right now or whether you'll visit it like next year. And if you don't like kind of refine it so that it gets out of your way by default, then people are stuck with that choice, and it means you're just less useful. Like it's an aspect of being useful. If you want to be more useful, then you should also think about this use case where people are not investing a huge amount of their attention right now into you. So, and distros are a way of launching something that gets them to a useful state, so that they can then go do something else. And then if they circle back, corporate jargon, if they have an epicycle where they're able to revisit, like now they want to put their attention on the text editor, then they can make a choice then to like cut out the parts that they don't need of the distro, or like start tweaking stuff or fiddling with stuff and trying to learn more about it and like refine it, because maybe they maxed out on like whatever the default experience is for the distro that they're using. And this happens like in so many contexts. Like there's people using Oh My Z Shell. That's probably not popular anymore. Whatever the replacement is for Oh My Z Shell. Those people are really into shells. I am not. I don't care about my shell at all. I just use the default bash. I have a couple like tweaks in my bash RC, and I want it out of my way. I don't give a damn about shells at all. Shells are. I actually want to use Neovim as my shell.
You just use your shell to cd into the directory and open Neovim and work inside there, right?
Well. I mean, I use shell a lot, but I'm not like trying to bling out my shell so that it has like all these colors. Exactly.
Pimp my shell.
I'm not. I have not. That's not. I haven't focused on shells. And I just don't want to spend time on that. So like something that works well and gets out of my way is what I'm looking for there. And so if you're starting out with Neovim and you just like there should be a way that you can just like see what it can do with like one click or one command, and distros are serving that purpose. It doesn't mean that like you need to stick with it forever, but it's giving a whole subset, probably a big subset of people, just like a picture of what's possible. Like it's a live demo, basically. Like distros are live demos of what this thing can do.
Would you recommend a distro to start with, or would you recommend something like Kickstart, or you build it from scratch, yourself? I guess it depends on the context of that specific person, like you just said. But if someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to try Neovim, what would be your first answer?
Well, Kickstart has gone off the rails. I don't know what Kickstart is doing now these days. It was supposed to be like a minimal thing that like is commented and shows you how to do things. And now it's like
a distro or what?
Installing the universe and just doing all this stuff that is I don't know what it's doing, but like so in Neovim we are starting to build out some minimal form of that where it's kind of like what I thought Kickstart was supposed to be, where it's just like it's a starter
Something to
file
get started.
for,
Yeah. And using just core utilities, or at least if you're gonna integrate some plugins, stuff that you trust, or you're gonna bring those to core or something.
Yeah, like it'll install all of my plugins and
Uh-huh.
no, yeah, it'll install plugins because we have a plugin manager now.
Oh,
And
okay.
that is a huge unlock because it takes so much pressure off of us to make hard decisions about what we want to ship in the build versus what we should outsource or to, either Neovim owned repos or third-party repos. Like that's a big it's very high, very, very useful to have. And so now we have that. And yeah, we'll probably we will have some section in there that shows, because like the two most common things that people need are a fuzzy picker.
Yep.
Like someday maybe we'll have some built-in version of that. But until then, just saying to get a fuzzy picker, you just add this one line. That is very powerful and comfortable for everybody. And it takes pressure off of us to like rush something into core. Meanwhile, because now the core answer is just one line. That's it. Just do this one line.
So this will help you guys to keep core really minimal and modularize everything else, right? Everything, if you want to add it, you add it through the plugin manager that Neovim now has. Is that correct?
It gives us that option. Like we won't always choose that option because we're not like the core. We want the core to be not minimal, but it should be absorbing known things. Like once something becomes a solved problem, like the interface and the experience and the API has kind of been figured out, that is either because we spent time sussing all of that out in core, or else because the community figured it out and made it really obvious, or a combination of those things. Once that happens, then and we're ready to spend time on it, then it makes sense for things to go into the core standard library. But for some things, maybe it never makes sense to do that because they're not essential or they're not composable. That's like a key axis to think about. Like you want things that you add to core, you want them to be shaped in a way that can be combined with other things, because otherwise, if you don't do it that way, then all you've done is bloat. Like I would say that like if you're just adding stuff that can't be extended, then yeah, it's bloat. That's probably a good definition of bloat, actually. A lot of times people think bloat is just like anything that's a non-zero like diff, but actually I would say it's bloat if it's like a dead end, right? If you add it, but then it can't be extended or it can't be reused by third parties, then yeah, that's bloat.
Bloat, yeah. There's something that I want to ask about bloat as well. I just got a super chat. Thank you very much for whoever sent that. I'm gonna read it in a little while, Justin. I think there's a question there, but there's something that I want to mention now that you said bloat. Like, I like extending Neovim a lot, so I like viewing images in Neovim. I like pasting images. When I paste them, it converts them automatically to AVIF format, because it's useful for me in my blog post, and I don't take notes with images, but in the blog post, sometimes an image is easier to describe 1,000 words, right? So I get a lot that my config is bloated because I'm extending Neovim too much that it's just becoming like emacs, and Neovim should be Neovim or closer to Vim. There's, these two opposite sides, extending it a lot or keeping it minimal. What are your thoughts on that, on extending Neovim?
I think this is a very easy question to answer. A lot of people, Martin Fowler has like a bunch of like categories for like types of tests, like integration tests, unit tests, functional tests, behavioral tests. Something crazy is happening in New York. Anyways, but the only actual useful delineation for tests, if you really stop and think about it is whether they're fast or slow. It does not. Nothing else matters.
Mhm.
If an integration
the
test
song.
takes one, the song, yeah,
Yeah, like the Metallica song. Nothing else matters. Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yes. If an integration test takes 1 millisecond, then that's a test you should always be running. And if it's slow, then you got a decision that you need to make.
mhm.
So it's kind of the same thing with your config. Like if stuff is super fast, then it doesn't really matter how much stuff is in there. If it starts to get slow, then that's a signal that it might be bloated.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is also why I say the definition of a text editor is anything that can the definition of a text editor. You might have a text editor if it can be built from source in less than 5 minutes.
Mhm. Mhm.
From nothing to everything in 5 minutes. If it takes more than 5 minutes, you don't have a text editor. You might have an IDE.
Mhm.
If it takes longer than 5 minutes to build, you might have an IDE.
And you personally, what are you in favor? Are you in favor of minimal Neovim or extending it to your needs? Like if you want to view images in Neovim, you do it, or you're like, no. My Neovim is not for that. I'm going to use another tool for my images. I'm going to keep my Neovim minimal. What are your thoughts personally on that?
Well, showing an image, I mean, this is similar to like embedded terminals. Like when we added an embedded terminal that was called bloat, but now I think it's pretty obvious that this is a basic feature that any text editor or IDE should have, because terminals are pretty tiny relative to everything else that's going on in software these days. I mean, if you knew how much bloat was just in a single cloud request, how many hops it's taking, like how many protocol wrappers there are around a request going into the cloud, you probably wouldn't be concerned about showing images or embedding a terminal. Mm-hmm. Showing images is also kind of like a solved problem, and this is something that should be possible to do in Neovim. Now, if we start taking dependencies like build time dependencies on a bunch of image libraries, and that constricts the number of like platform targets that we can ship to and run in, then that's questionable. But if we can do it in a way where it's pretty lightweight, we're mostly just providing an interface and using either operating system features or host terminal features, then there's no reason we shouldn't do that. Because like this is actually kind of painful not to be able to see images in a markdown file. Markdown files would be much more useful if you could inline images in there, and we're going to do that for help files too, where you can just somehow show an image. Although I don't know, people might not be excited about that. So like half of the core team wants to move to Markdown instead of the help files, but I think I think we can support both. I mean, they're both basically just like variants of each other. Like help files it's kind of just Markdown, really. It's just a different flavor of Markdown.
Yeah. That looks horrible, right? Now I'm used to Markdown, so yeah, navigating help.
It looks good now. Help files should look good.
Yeah, it looks decent. I have a question here. I'm just gonna switch to my screen real quick, and I'm just gonna read this. Hold on. Patricio Serrano. Can the Neovim built-in terminal slow down the editor? For example, if I run a heavy task, will it affect my editing experience? Any thoughts on how to prevent this? Maybe using Neovim's server client feature?
Well, the embedded terminal is slower than it should be. So that's the short answer. It's not synchronous. Like there's parts of it that are asynchronous. One of the things that I think probably does slow it down is if it exceeds the scrollback and it has to start deleting lines. I think the logic for that is kind of stupid right now. I think the way that it shifts the scrollback array is probably like super inefficient. But if you're not even hitting that, if it's slow and you're not hitting that scrollback limit, then that's the other slow parts that I don't really remember the details, but it probably has to do with like highlights, the way we're doing highlights, and maybe like some of the buffer options. So we have to think about, like, we want terminals to be real buffers, but there's some things in real buffers that make things really stupidly slow. Like, and I don't think we support folds yet, but we could. But then when we do, that's going to make them even slower if you have folds enabled in terminals. And the wrap logic, wrap is always a pain in the ass.
Okay.
And we have like some half working wrap logic, and we need, once we get that fully working, that'll be after we integrate libghostty from the ghostty terminal. They are exposing their terminal logic as a library, and so we can replace our current thing with that, and hopefully that's faster, but we'll see. But try setting scrollback to like the maximum number and see if that makes it faster. What was the other part of the question?
Let's see. If I switch here to my screen, it says, if I run a heavy task, will it affect my editing experience? Any thoughts on how to prevent this? Maybe using Neovim server client feature.
Okay, this is interesting. Because the answer, the perpetual answer to like any client server situation is that Neovim should have P2P functionality, like peer-to-peer functionality. This should be like, Neovim should be able to create swarms of itself on your machine whenever it needs to, so that it can do expensive tasks in a child process of Neovim, and then throw away that child Neovim, and then get the result, and then use that in the parent. Right now, this is just too cumbersome. Like, of course, it's possible to do, but like getting results from various features in the child Neovim is just not as good as it should be. Like, so if you wanted to do this like in a bespoke way today, like if you had like some expensive terminal thing, you could spin up the terminal in the child Neovim, and then you would get the output and put it into your parent Neovim. You could show it as a regular buffer, but then, now you have to create some plugin that kind of like makes that buffer behave in useful ways, I guess. Like if you're like, because you're not going to get the full terminal buffer experience in that bespoke buffer, but that's the kind of thing you could do. Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate that. And I also wanted to ask you about defaults in Neovim, moving on to a different topic, defaults in Neovim, right? Because when you go into a server, you usually have Vim installed. You don't have any plugins. You don't have your KJ to go to escape to normal mode. You have to use escape or control open square bracket. I don't remember which one it is, right? So you just have to use vanilla Vim there. How often do you do that? I don't do it often. It depends on each person, right? But what are your thoughts on moving away from defaults, right? Like, for example, let me give an example. Flash.nvim is a plugin that I use sometimes to jump to a specific section of the file, find it useful at times, right? Or custom key maps that I use that are not going to be available in a server. Are you in favor of navigating or moving away from defaults, or use stock configs only?
Well, I wrote Sneak, so I definitely use some non-default features for navigating, but unlike Flash, it does not move across windows.
Is it similar to Flash then, that Sneak plugin?
Yeah, I think Flash probably credits Sneak as an inspiration, I think, in its README.
Okay.
Yeah, although, I didn't invent the idea. There was something called Easy Motion a long time ago that Sneak was just a better version of Easy Motion. So, I guess the question is like, you're asking about personal choice. Like, for me, there's like a few things that I do non-default, and I have no problem like when I'm roughing it, on a bare bones server, and I only have Vim or Neovim, then without my config, then it's usually pretty fine to get around. There's some like things that we should be adding to the defaults to make that less of a problem. But of course, that only applies if you agree with the defaults. But I think that the answer to your question is maybe like contradictory, because I try not to change the defaults unless they're terrible. And if they're terrible, then I will change them in Neovim. But then this is kind of like, I'm not everyone can do that, but I think the defaults that we're driving towards, everyone should be using because they're great.
How do you get to normal mode?
I use control left bracket.
Oh, really?
That's the goated way.
Why, Justin? Can you explain why?
Once you get used to it, you won't go back. I tried JK. JK is terrible.
No, KJ, the other way around, because this finger is faster.
You do both.
Damn, just like this.
You can map them both.
Yeah, but I don't know. I
smash them both. But once you get used to the control bracket, it's actually way better.
I tried escape at the beginning, but because it was too way up here, I didn't modify my keyboard at that time, right? I used the default keyboard, but escape was all the way there, all the way up there. So I said, no. Let me try the control close square bracket. That's the one, right? So, and I tried it I didn't get used to it. It was like, no. I just moved to KJ. I didn't look back ever since.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe that should be a default. That would be hilarious. We could do that on April Fool's. No one is ever amused by our April Fool's stuff.
Where do you post those? Do you post them in Reddit or a video or something?
No, I think maybe that's why. It's because it's only people looking at the issue tracker. And so those are serious people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's why they're not amused.
Yeah. You should create a video or something about it. It would be hilarious. Imagine, oh man, Reddit would go crazy. How's your relationship with Reddit, by the way? Because sometimes I post in Reddit and there's a lot of people there that's like angry and I don't know, they just like to attack you for no reason. How's your relationship with Reddit? Is it healthy? Well, of course, you're the Neovim maintainer. You're there, right? So what problems are you going to have there with Reddit? But overall, any thoughts on the Neovim subreddit community?
Oh, it could be way worse. I think it's fine. I don't see too many angry people there.
Yeah.
I've gotten pretty used to, like, if someone's complaining about a technical decision, I'm totally fine with that. And I usually just like, I mean, I get it. I understand. I don't have any problem with people complaining about technical decisions or, because nothing is ever perfect. And I complain a lot myself, so.
Yeah.
It's more like the things that bother me are in the early days were more like just personal attacks and stuff like that. But if it's not personal, I don't mind it at all.
Okay. Now, would you mind sharing a little bit about the Neovim's history? We're going back in time right now. Were you the one that started Neovim? I heard, I don't know, Greg, I don't know, remember. Oh no, the Rio terminal creator is the one that told me that it was some Brazil guys. Are they still around?
Yeah.
Were they the ones that started it? Did you take over? You mind sharing a little bit about that?
Well, Tiago de Arruda was the guy who did the initial fork and did a Kickstarter and did like 6 months of work to get all the kind of like flagship features like async jobs and the embedded terminal were the main things. And he also did remote plugins, which has had less success. But I consider myself, I think it's fair to call me the co-founder of Neovim, even though I didn't have like a big technical role in the first like couple months of the project. But I was kind of like an angel on his shoulder before he forked it, and I was talking to him on Reddit. Speaking of Reddit, like we had discussions on Reddit, and so it kind of led to that. And I was excited about the project and was involved from the beginning. And he asked me to take over, like within not too long, seeing all the the work of the project management and stuff. So, and yeah, he's from Brazil. I'm from Florida. I think tropical climates seem to be where the innovation is coming from these days.
What are your thoughts on cold weather? Do you like it?
I don't mind it. I deal with it. I try not to be limited by, I adapt. I'm in New York City, like one of the most unpleasant cities in the world, but I'm dealing with it. I adapt.
Okay. Now,
there's a reason they call New York City the city that never sleeps.
Oh.
I just figured this out this week. It's because it prevents you from sleeping.
What? Too much noise?
Too much noise. Too much people screaming and just doing weird things in the hallway and running their TV and sirens.
You hear the train? You hear the train as well from where you're at?
No, I don't hear the train.
No, fortunately you don't.
Just sirens and screaming.
Okay, I can imagine. Any gunshots there?
No,
fortunately
no gunshots.
Just in Florida.
Yeah, maybe.
Are there alligators in Florida?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you used to them?
Go golfing. If you go golfing, you'll see alligators.
Yeah. Are you scared of them? People's like, what is this conversation about? Are we talking about Neovim or what? What's going on here? Are you afraid of?
We're getting into the spicy segment of the show.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just rolling.
I have a healthy respect for gators. I don't try to pet them or give them marshmallows.
Okay. Now going back to Neovim, how's the burden like? Because you have a work at Amazon, I guess AWS related stuff. Is that right? Okay. Now I guess that must be pretty busy, pretty involved, right? Must not be easy at all. Now Neovim is not easy at all. A lot of issues, discussions, stuff going on. Like, how is the burden? How do you feel?
I mean, it's a full-time job if you let it be. And it's hard to do deep work if you're doing multiple jobs. So you got to choose which job you're going to do deep work on. I'm keeping up with, I think, the project management at least, and occasionally doing some patches and guiding PRs and things like that. But I want to do more deep work pretty soon, next year.
Okay. And what are the plans when you're no longer around? Let's say that one day you decide, no, you know what? Emacs is for me. So I'm going to jump off and I'm going to go to Emacs. What's going to happen to Neovim? Is there a plan? Is there a successor or a group of successors? Or have you thought about that?
Well, I mean, Thiago hasn't been around and Neovim survived and thrived, I think. And there was about a year around 2020 when I was not very active at all. And the project continued and did okay. There were some things merged that shouldn't have been, I think, during that time, but that's okay. So when I'm gone, I think Bjorn will certainly be around still, I hope, and maybe Jameson. So 3 people currently are, I should do this. 3 people, the German, no wait, this. 3 people have owner role on the Neovim organization in Neovim. So as long as one of us is still alive, then if someone drops out or gets hit by a bus or whatever, then there's that administrative part is not at risk. They have the keys to everything and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but like in terms of say like I don't know, project direction, I think Bjorn and I are very aligned on the project direction, so I don't think much would change if I were not here. And Jameson is not very active right now, but maybe he would become more active in that scenario. But we're always gaining new smart people and they're building up their trust, and so it kind of just requires judgment to see like who to trust, and then maybe we'll have more options in the next couple of years about that kind of thing.
Okay, makes sense. Have you heard about Theena? He was a Neovim conf. He had his overrides Neovim configuration. I don't know if you remember or if you recall about Theena.
How do you spell it?
Theena, and the last name is complex.
Haven't heard of this person.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute it here.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Theena, yeah.
He was. He's a creative guy. I like him. I like his videos.
Yeah.
Very, very relaxing video to watch.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. I had it in my podcast. It's one of my favorite podcasts, actually. Pretty good episode, right? But did you know what happened to Theena? Do you know that he moved over to
emacs?
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
His stuff was so his use case was like so involved that I think it doesn't surprise me. I was actually surprised that he went as far as he did with Neovim, and I think, I don't know, in a couple of years maybe we'll be closer to having better answers for some of the stuff that he found lacking, maybe. But Emacs has some very unique and powerful properties, like the way that its documentation system, I think, is they don't have like docs files. They just have doc strings on their commands, and those auto generate docs. And then so like when you look at a doc, you're also can just introspect the code that it is documenting, and vice versa. That kind of thing is really cool. And I mean, it's not perfect though. Like they still have a C core that's about as big as Vim's C core. Not many people know this. They have like the same amount of C code that Vim has, which is more than Neovim. So it's not fully extensible. Like their redraw layer is all in C. You can't extend that. You can extend that in Neovim. Like Neovim has a UI protocol. Emacs does not have a UI protocol. And also, I just was reminded that this is kind of just silly trivia, but you can't pipe standard input into Emacs CLI.
You can't?
No. Did you know this?
No, I didn't.
People have done these elaborate things to like try to make it work.
Oh, really?
You can't do it. No, because you're not supposed to ever be starting Emacs. It's supposed to always be running. It's like heaven.
Oh,
it's like the firmament. It's just always like blessing you with its light.
Yeah, it's the operating system.
You're not ever supposed to be like starting or stopping.
No, yeah. You turn the computer on and it starts Emacs, and that's where you live in. So that comes, that brings us to that topic. What are your thoughts on Emacs? Have you had experiences with Emacs? Have you used it? What do you think about it?
I used it heavily for about like 12 months. And I think that was like maybe the year before Neovim, or maybe it was during that first year of Neovim. I think it was 2013. So my knowledge is somewhat out of date, but like I was excited about it. I think it's awesome. I like the architecture, but there's some things that were holding it back. Some of the stuff probably has been fixed. Yeah, I ended up switching back to Vim or Neovim because there was things that I was trying to do in Emacs that could not be done.
Oh, you found limitations.
And like stuff like the quick fix buffer in Vim still behaves, I think, better than whatever the Emacs equivalent is. Emacs equivalent is more like Sublime text or Z. I think that kind of thing. Lots of clicking around and like trying to do smart stuff.
How's your relationship with the Emacs community? Do you think it is good to have a healthy relationship between Emacs and Neovim? Because a lot of features are taken, I guess, from inspiration from Emacs that are brought over to Neovim. And I guess the same thing happens the other way around, right? From Neovim to Emacs. Is there beef with you and Emacs or no? How are you? How's the relationship? Well,
I think there's very little communication. the one time we did have productive communication was I asked them about like how completion, the completion interface for, and I got some very thoughtful answers from people, from emacs people on the Neovim issue tracker. But other than that, I think they probably ignore us, and we kind of ignore them. I don't know that we necessarily like. When I see a good idea in Emacs or VS Code, then that gets the wheels turning, and I start thinking about it if it makes sense in Neovim. This is the only way to like be maximally useful. And that's all I want. I just want a maximally useful tool. That's what I want. That's the main interest that I have in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on other editors? There's one out there that has multi-cursor. Guess which one I'm gonna ask about?
Sublime text.
No, another one.
That was the one that really popularized that feature that no one talks about anymore.
Oh no, but another one that looks like
Vim.
Vim.
About it anymore.
Yeah, actually.
Why is that?
Because of Neovim?
No, I think people just like I think the people that the vocal people that are like writing blog posts and like making who knows what Reddit posts about like how great a text editor is based on like whether it has multi-cursor. Those are the people that just kind of like migrate to the next editor whenever it comes out.
They're
There's
not
no
loyal.
stickiness there. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't think anyone needs to be loyal to a text editor, but I would say it's more like there's not any stickiness there. Why isn't there any stickiness? It's because the stuff that they were enjoying about it was mostly like it's stuff that feels good on the first impression, which is important, and it's stuff that feels good like out of the box, but it's not. It's not the other part, which is the extensibility. Like they're not doing anything with the extensibility. They're not really making like super personalized mappings.
Are we talking about Helix here?
No, but I think maybe probably Helix is another example of that, where like they have targeted some niche. I don't know how big the niche is or how small it is. Like I think targeting a niche is a good idea, but the niche that Neovim is targeting is the people that care about. The people that want to extend stuff, or the people that have like particular tastes. And if you have particular taste,
right?
No, you're not going to bait me into this kind of thing. I'm genuinely like text editor agnostic. I don't care what people use, and I will switch to something better if I find it. Like I have no real like I'm promiscuous. I have a commitment problem. I don't want to commit to anything. Like, I don't care about the OS that I'm using, and I don't care about the text editor. I just want a maximally useful tool that is like flexible and lightweight and portable that I can put in, that I can use for a bunch of different purposes, and is like, gonna last a long time.
Have you used Helix? Have you used it? Do you have any thoughts on it?
I think I installed. Like when I first tried it, I think it like didn't run because I didn't have the right version of macOS. But I think I tried it later, more recently, but I haven't used it extensively. I mean, like, but I've been paying attention to like the things that people like, the key ideas from it. Like the key ideas is that better default, and people rightfully criticize the bootstrapping experience for LSP in Neovim was too cumbersome, and we I think solved 80% of that in 2025. We still have a little bit more to do there, but like a big part of 2025 was having a good answer to that, and I think we have a pretty good answer now. The plugin manager is another aspect of that, is because, well, plugin manager is not really going to help you install LSP servers, and I think we will never attempt to do that. I don't think Helix does that either. Maybe it does, but yeah, that's good for like demoware. Like once you start like installing LSP servers from your text editor. That works for the happy path, and it's great for demos, and you'll get a lot of like excitement from people just like who are just only on the happy path, and they're not doing, I don't know, projects that have more complex requirements or whatever. Or if it's like VS Code like has like a team of people working on each LSP plugin. Like they have a team of people working on the Python plugin. Yeah, you can make things work. You can make things work nicely if you have a team of people working on your
resources.
Python plugin. Like funded people. Like these people are making $400,000 each per year, and they're working on a Python plugin.
Yeah, imagine. Now, you also touched on operating system a moment ago, and I want to ask you, which one is your operating system of choice and why?
Well, I'm using macOS mostly because I just want a laptop that works well, and like the sleep behavior is I need to not care about dealing with any of that. And also, like, I guess the media devices on it probably work better than maybe still the current state of the art for Linux. I'm not sure, but yeah, I try to be OS agnostic. I spin up plenty of Linux machines at work, and use those for like development, like 8 hours a day development purposes. But those are headless, so
just
like,
SSH.
My headless OS of choice is Linux.
Which distro?
Well, at work, it's just some crappy version of Red Hat or Cent or whatever, like some derivative of that. And but I used to be a Debian guy.
Oh, okay.
But probably now
the Amazon Linux one, the one you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
I probably would if I would. I mean, at a previous job, I was using a lot of Ubuntu. Even on, I think, embedded systems, so-called embedded systems, I think we were using Ubuntu.
What happened to Debian, your relationship and Debian on the servers? Like, does someone else choose? Because it happened to me at my previous company, right? Someone else deployed the VMs and he decided to use Amazon Linux. And I was like, man, why? Why don't we use Debian? And it was too late at that point and whatever. We just used that, right? But what happened with you and Debian? Why the move to Amazon Linux? Of course, because you work at Amazon, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's you pretty much have to use that if you want to avoid headaches. And also, like, I think that's the best supported thing for cloud related, like VMs and things like that, is you want to use whatever your cloud provider is using usually.
Yeah, makes sense, to avoid headaches. Okay, just like you mentioned. And have you ever thought about daily driving Linux, or you're just gonna stick to Mac OS?
Sure. Yeah, I'm always keeping my options open. As soon as I hear that Sleep works well, I might start thinking about it. Like, I know people are talking about the framework laptop, but I haven't heard that Sleep is flawless on it yet.
Okay. And by sleep, you mean that you just close the Mac, 2 days later, you open it up and it's still 80% charged. Is that what you're talking about? Yep.
Yeah.
Or a week after you open it up, still has charge. Yeah. I'm on macOS as well. And most of my audience is Linux. I ran a poll the other day in a YouTube post, and I was expecting most of them to be macOS users, but no. They're Linux users, and they're constantly telling me that I should switch to Linux. And I thought about it, and I was like, but what am I gonna gain from this? I'm gonna invest a lot of time. I know that I'm going to invest a lot of time. I'm not gonna run some distro out there. I will probably run something on my own, spend weeks, but what are the gains gonna be? Yeah, of course, I'm not gonna be tied to Apple proprietary stuff. I don't care about proprietary stuff, to be honest, as long as it works. But do you have any thoughts there?
I'm glad to see Linux gaining popularity. I started using Linux in 2000. My first distro was SUSE. but I also I'm a staunch agnostic. I intentionally don't care because I don't want to be hurt. But also, I just don't think advocacy works at all, ever. But also, I think there's an economic argument. Economics will save us, which is like everyone will use what's best eventually if it's good enough. So and also Linux doesn't really need any help. It's on every phone.
Yep.
Or Unix. Unix is on the iPhones, some form of Unix. So Linux already won. It's not ready on the desktop because Mark Shuttleworth tried, but they just don't have kind of framework computer. Maybe they will kind of solve this problem where you just have that really well functioning integrated sort of unit that you aren't screwing around with and is not getting in your way. Like I kind of alluded to earlier, everyone is in a different journey about what they want to focus their attention on for a given moment or day or week. And I don't even really want to care about a distro. The whole distro thing is kind of an accident. I think probably Linus himself is kind of puzzled by this whole situation because he's working on a kernel. He just wants to get his kernel on his computer, and then all these different flavors of user space stuff is it's just you can focus only on one thing at a time, and trying to digest the universe or the ocean at the same time, it becomes overwhelming. But I did all this stuff. I fought Xorg. I fought Xorg before it was Xorg.
Okay. Do you get pushback from your friends and the Neovim core team? I know Gregory Anders is a macOS lover, just like me. I'm not a macOS lover. Don't tell anyone, but I am. But I know Gregory does love macOS because I had him the other day in an interview, and he talked about the Apple Watch, the Apple TV, all that stuff. So, do you get pushback from other people besides Greg? Why are you on macOS? You should switch to Linux, like a real Chad.
My Apple usage is confined to a laptop. I don't use any other Apple products, although I'm sure they work well together. And I don't. No, I don't get any. I don't think. No, yeah, people are pretty OS agnostic. We need more Windows developers. We've started to see some activity there on the pull requests. But yeah, I would love to have some Windows developers that are paying attention to.
Yeah, if you want to touch on that, because Gregory mentioned it too, and I created a video about that, Neovim needs your help, and Gregory was this pointing, with Uncle Sam, how is it called? I don't remember. But what do you need help with on the Windows side, and what's the best way for someone to, contribute to Neovim on the Windows side to become a core maintainer? Just share about that with us.
There's a Windows label on the issue tracker. There's about less than 100 Windows issues. The ones that really would be helpful is having someone sit down and solve path handling in a coherent way. We kind of just need to rework the way that flashes are handled in the path, file paths. That would be a good start. But there's a few other issues. I don't know. But the file system stuff is really the main thing to start with.
Oh, okay. And this is for the native Windows application. Is that correct?
Yeah,
yep.
That's right.
I'm going to switch back to our screen. Is there anything else you want to show here? No. Okay. So that's native Windows application that you need help with. Okay. So people just go there, install Cloud Code and Vibe Code solutions, and send you What are your thoughts on 2000 line ERs that you're this was AI generated? Does that impose a lot of a burden on your side? And it's because you have to review it, understand, and all that stuff. What's the best way to contribute to Neovim?
Well, AI it's fine to use AI, but definitely the human that's authoring the PR should review it before asking us to review it. It's easy to tell which ones are AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
They just have a certain voice and they do certain things that obvious. So if the human should take some time to double check what it's doing and compare it to existing code in our code base. Like the way that the AI writes tests is kind of just, it's not following the patterns of our other tests.
Okay.
The human should check that before they ask for a review.
Yeah, because that's just a lot of work for you, right? Because yeah, I guess it would be extremely annoying to get that type of PRs. And let me just read this because I just got on a super chat here. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it says here, Miguel Rodriguez, Justin, thanks for your amazing work on Neovim. The project is amazing. The Lua APIs are a joy to work with. So easy to make the editor truly personal. Yeah, just nice words from Miguel there. Appreciate the
Thank you,
donation.
Miguel.
And is there something that you want to demo on your side?
So we can talk about the roadmap. We implemented restart and detach, but no one
even notice. What do you mean by restart? Like
noticed.
I can reapply my config without quitting Neovim and reopen it again? Is that what that is?
That's right.
Oh, really? I have been quitting Neovim every time I make a change. So, but that's 0.12 or?
Yeah, okay. That hasn't been in 0.11, so I can demo that now. But the trade-off or the caveat is that it currently doesn't restore your session.
Okay.
So like we can just try that. I'm gonna do restart. Should I make this bigger? I'll just do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep.
Okay. So if I type restart, it restarted the entire process, and so it didn't restore the session. So I have to manually go back to that file. But at help restart, it gives some tips about how you can kind of do it manually. So you can just use make session and then restart takes a command line, and it will do that. That's when the process restarts. So now we can try this. Let me make sure I don't have a session in here. Oh, I do. Okay, so remove that. Now we're gonna do this. Save the session, restart, and it worked. All right, great. So we just did a full restart of the process, and it restored the session. But yeah, this is it's kind of a small thing, but it's also it's a huge quality of life improvement. And the funny thing is that people are using it a ton. I'm seeing it pop up in demo videos and blog posts and instructions on people's plugins or whatever. So people know about it and they're using the heck out of it.
Oh yeah, I didn't know about it.
Like this humble little feature that is like the reason that it's tying together. It's dependent on this client-server architecture of Neovim. Like we implemented the UI as a client to another Neovim process, which is the server, and that was another thing that people kind of were skeptical. Some people, I shouldn't say people, I should say some small portion of people were skeptical about it. But it's just like one of those things that it's the right architecture. It makes it easier to reason about the system. It drives technical decisions in the right direction because it forces us to avoid like shortcuts. So like one of the things it forces us to avoid is because the terminal UI is a UI just like a GUI, just like a graphical UI, it means that we can't take shortcuts. So we have to use the full UI protocol just like a graphical UI would, which means so it's driving us to do things the right way. And then on top of that, when you do things in a nice architecture, then you get these little serendipitous possibilities like restart. Implementing restart was, I don't know, 100 lines of code total, maybe. And but it sits on top of this architectural decision that we made years ago.
Okay.
And so it would not be possible without this architecture. Not you could do it in a hacky way where like the way that like you could hack it, but you couldn't do it like in a terminal. Like the way that like a lot of programs like VS Code implement this is they'll have like a watch or a service or something, and then it will sort of trampoline the restart. But you couldn't do that in a terminal because the terminal involves a shell. So like that trampoline would have to do something really cheesy, like, I don't know, send keys to your shell and like do it that way or something. Like it cannot access the interior session of your shell. So there's no way that a service can do that. You can only do this with this architecture.
Awesome.
And I don't know if Emacs has this. It might have it. Actually, I think it does. So that's pretty cool. And then also detach works too. So let me I do listen on a local
This is a socket, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's just the naming convention. And so now you can see my server is that file. That's the server address. Server address. Now if I do detach, then the server is still running.
Okay.
Server's still running. And I can reattach to the server. Actually, I should have done this. So now you can see I detached again. Now when I reattach, it will still have that. Wait, why didn't that work? Oh, because I quit instead of
detaching. Okay, so we're thinking about like something like tmux here, right? So that you detach and reattach, and I guess this would work remotely as well. If you leave it running on a server, can you reattach to it from another location then?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, that's awesome. What drove this? Was it tmux?
I mean, that's the idea. Yeah, it's the same sort of model. So listen, if I detach and then I do remote UI, then it has the UI. I was doing it wrong because I forgot to put a remote UI in there. This is something that I actually want to drop. I want it to just work without doing remote UI, but
okay.
There's something else cool. So we added also connect. This is kind of experimental right now, but connect would allow you to connect at runtime from a different Neovim process. So we're going to do, actually, we'll just do this, and then I'll start a new one. Now if I do connect,
hold on.
It doesn't.
We lost your connection there for a little while. So you detached from the instance that you were on before, or what did you do? You just open a new window below?
Yeah, this is a new window.
Okay.
Oh, so that's experimental, and that did not work.
Imagine doing all of this in a live stream. People would tune in, man. So hopefully next year, right? I don't watch live streams either. You know, I don't like watching live streams. I like watching clips. So if you can make clips out of your live streams, it would be awesome as well.
Yeah, I think the connect command. Yeah, okay, so it worked. The connect command has a bug in it because the tilde was there and it didn't expand it. And then it just crashed. So, but yeah, those three things are all kind of tied together.
Can you explain connect? I didn't understand how that works. Like, what's the purpose of connect?
So instead of, whoops, I quit from the server, so it closed everything. So now if I go back. All right, so the top one is a server and a UI running, and then so instead of specifying the server at the command line here, I can just start a new Neovim instance and do like, I don't know, So I'm doing stuff in here, blah, blah, blah. But now I want to throw away this instance and connect to a different Neovim server from this instance, which means, so there's some just choices that we have to make about what we do with the current server when we do this, but it's a way of just changing the server that you are connected to from this UI. So now it will connected to the same server. Same server. See, look, even when I move them both, the movement is happening on the server. Both UIs are showing the same UI.
Oh, so you do it connect. You do it with that within a Neovim instance, and to attach to an instance, you do it from outside, right? Through the socket, correct?
I did it from within this. Well, it doesn't have that. It has a different history now because it's connected to a different server.
Okay.
But I did it from. But this is another usability thing that I need to think about. But because if you quit, then it quits the server. You have to.
You want to keep the server running, right?
Yeah,
and
if you want to keep the server running, you have to detach.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Detach the server.
Okay.
So, and this connect thing is not getting added to history. That's probably another bug. Like it should be updating the history before it like does its thing, and it's not doing that right now, I think.
And how do you think people could benefit out of this? You mind sharing some scenarios, like a remote server could be one of them? What do you have in mind?
This is a summer of code project that kind of like only got 70% completed. A use case for this is so that like anytime it's to avoid people having to craft a command in the command line, which is not just a usability thing, but also it opens up new applications. And so one of the applications of this is like if you want to connect, like say you have a bunch of SSH servers. Well, the connect command can present a menu of all the SSH servers that it knows about, and then connect to them. It can connect to, and it can also present a menu of all the local Neovim servers that you have running. There's one use case that I think is interesting for this. This is kind of just a minor thing, but like a lot of times when you open something, when you open a file from your file manager, you want it to open in an existing instance of Neovim. Like that's usually feels better because if you just start fresh every time, then you don't have access to the other buffers or whatever that are open in your current instance. And so this enables that.
Okay.
Because it can just connect to a first server or maybe some server with a special name, whatever you mark as like your default server. It could open the file in that server, and that will work in a terminal because it can just start a new terminal and do this kind of thing and open the file in an existing Neovim server.
That's awesome. I have a question for you. So let's say that I run Neovim on a server, remote server, right? I run a Neovim instance on it, and I start the socket there, right? So then I go home and I attach to that socket, right? I can attach to that from a different location. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what configuration would I use? Let's say that on the server, I just installed minimal Neovim because I don't have plugins there. I cannot install that. I don't want to install plugins there. And if I run it or if I attach from my local session, do I use my plugins, the ones that are, or I use whatever is installed on the remote server?
Everything currently the model is that the server, everything is running in the context of the server. The UI is just a thin, it's only showing a viewport.
Oh, okay.
It's only a way of like viewing what's happening on the server, and that means all file system commands everything, all plugins and scripts, all logic, all mappings, all input is happening on the server.
Mm-hmm.
It could make it sense to explore kind of like bifurcating that, like so that some things can happen in the UI, but it's something that we're kind of deferring for now because it just introduces a lot of opportunity for new kinds of things to reason about. Because right now the UI is not running like a full instance of Neovim. It's only running the bare minimum parts that need to show a UI.
Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. Appreciate it. Is there something else that you want to demo? I see a lot of cool stuff there on your list.
I'll demo the new progress feature. So we added an extra flag to the Neovim Echo, the Neovim Echo API, so that you can emit special messages called progress messages, and then there's more info about that here. And the interesting thing about this is that it formalizes the concept of having an ongoing task or something, and there's some message like holding the current status of that task. And the most obvious use case for this is just like showing the current percent of something that's done, or showing like a busy indicator somewhere. But you know, it's potentially useful as kind of like, I don't know if semaphore is the right word, but like just a piece of state that signals to multiple consumers about like the status of a task. But so that was kind of too abstract. But like in terms of UI, it allows like this is obviously used a lot in LSP. LSP has the concept of a progress event, and right now we don't really surface that very well. Like, but we should be showing it in our in the default status line, but we don't. But this opens the door for also emitting this to graphical GUIs or TUIs. Like, and so ghostty, which is the terminal that I'm using, it has support for this event. So now if I do this demo, which is just running my normal config, my normal config has a pack.add call, which is the built-in plugin manager. It's installing all of these plugins. And our built-in package manager emits this progress event. So now if I do the demo and I say yes, you can see at the top, look at the top, there's a blue bar.
Oh, okay.
It's showing the progress. That's built into ghostty because it supports that terminal sequence, which we automatically emit whenever you use this Neovim Echo progress feature. It automatically emits that event, and if your terminal supports this, then it will show however it decides to present progress. And by default, you can see at the bottom here, we also have our own built-in kind of like message thing that shows the progress in the way that you see at the bottom there with the 100%.
So even if you don't have a supported terminal, you could see it there at the bottom, right?
Yeah. And we'll probably do some more work around there, maybe like in the status line or something like that. The status line is tricky because, you know, that's only a solution for anyone using the default status line, which seems to be, I might be the only person using the default status line. I don't know. Like, there's something else cool I really want to point out, which is that ghostty has a built-in inspector. This is a game changer. This is like Chrome DevTools for your terminal. This is going to single-handedly, like this single feature of ghostty is going to change. It's probably going to like double the amount of like, it's probably going to quadrupled the quality of terminal applications, and it maybe it'll like, I don't know, also increase the number of things that people are making, because we just didn't have anything like this before in any terminal emulator. So you can see here, I can use this picker, and I can click on anything in the terminal, and then it gives me information about that cell in the terminal.
Okay.
And you can also see on the bottom right, like it's tracking my mouse movement, which is a hint that terminals themselves have access to other, info, which you already knew, because when you do a right click on Neovim, you can see that it's tracking your mouse movement.
I didn't even know that I could right click Neovim.
Yeah. And this is probably because this is the downside of distros, is that they can obfuscate like built-in features.
Oh, and how could that benefit Neovim, that ghostty, what is it, inspector?
Because it lowers the cost of terminal development. Like, terminal development up to now was kind of just like imagining how things should be, reading the spec, and doing printf debugging. Yeah, and so now you have this kind of interactive thing.
Okay.
That's a big deal.
Okay.
I guess that's enough about ghostty. Let me see. Is there anything else? That's pretty much it. Probably been quite a long time for our viewers, but I do want to mention that one of the killer features of Vim is the window management. Like, you can do a lot of. It's like more powerful than probably like a lot of window managers for Linux even.
Okay, elaborate on that, please. I want to know about this.
Well, I just created 6 windows here. I can, let me do it in the, I have the concept of like an alternate buffer that I can easily switch to a given window. I actually, do any window managers even have that? I wonder.
No.
Do they have like a stack? Can you have like a stack of windows and, a stack of views in a single window? And you can break out windows into a new tab. That's it. I think people underuse Windows. That's all I wanted to mention.
Okay. Awesome. Now, what window manager do you use? Do you use any? I switched back to our screen, so thank you very much for the demo. Pretty interesting. No, just
I don't use window managers. I use the built-in. You can make windows halfway like this. That's all I need if I ever need it.
Oh, at the OS level? Or
yeah.
Oh, okay. But you don't use nothing fancy on Mac OS, right? Just mainly in Neovim. Do you do all your window management in Neovim then?
That's the goal.
Oh, okay.
But if you have other GUI apps that you need to see side by side, then I would do something like this. This is the most I ever do, is just have like a half and half like this.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. I do that sometimes, and not too much, because of real estates on the screen. But sometimes it's useful. Yeah, makes sense. What is your terminal of choice? I switched back to our screen. I see ghostty there, but I also posted in the Neovim subreddit a few months ago, maybe I don't remember when, about the Scrollback in Kitty, right? Because I can access the Scrollback, open it in Neovim. You recommended me a feature that is only available in Neovim 0.12. I'm not yet on Neovim 0.12, but how do you know about Kitty? Did you use Kitty before? Did you switch to ghostty?
Yeah, I would be using Kitty if ghostty didn't exist, but the terminal inspector is a killer feature, I think. I still have Kitty installed, which is saying something, because normally I would uninstall something that I don't like. And so here's the scrollback. You can see it's a buffer in Neovim.
And how are you doing
great.
that? Because Gregory, I think, told me that scrollback is not something that is implemented in ghostty yet.
Right. This isn't Kitty.
Oh, Kitty. Okay. Now, Can you show me the scroll back again? Are you looking at it with colors?
Yeah. It works. It works, and there's a way to make it work in 0.11. You just have to, if you define this command, just do what it.
Yeah, I try to define it, but I think that Neovim open term is not available. I don't remember what happened exactly.
It is, but it might not have this feature where it works on the current buffer. I think that might be. I thought that was in 0.11, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, because I tried it and it didn't work. But if you open your scroll back in Kitty, it shows it to you in colors. I missed that part. I was not.
Yeah, watch this. So I'm going to hit my key map now to open this screen itself as Scrollback, and it looks like the same screen, but it's not. It's actually just Scrollback.
The Neovim, awesome.
Yeah, like even this line here. If I set it as modifiable, I can delete that line. See, and it's using. This is kind of interesting. Yeah, it seems like that background highlight was stuck there. That might just be a bug. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Okay, so you moved over to ghostty because of the inspector, and you're staying in ghostty, correct?
Yeah, just because it seems to be converging more on that idea of like a maximally useful unit that gets out of my way. Kitty is pretty close to that as well, but ghostty has like it has some slightly better integration with like macOS. I mean, obviously, like the tabs are one thing, although I don't actually care about that really. But they seem to be going in the direction where I expect that it will be. They will soon have the features that I want. And then it'll keep just getting better. But currently, like it is missing two major things, which is one is the scrollback handling, and two, opening files from your file manager, like your OS file manager.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
Like you can't easily. I don't think it's even possible. I mean, I think Hashimoto claims that it is, but I asked him on Twitter and he didn't reply. So I don't know. I could not make it work. I just want to double click on a file in a file manager and have it open in Neovim in a new terminal tab. That's all I want. Yeah. I don't ever want to see VS Code open for a JSON file or whatever. Like,
what about Neovide? Because
like
you can do it. You can do it with Neovide at the moment.
That's true. I have Neovide, but there were some sharp edges that I kept running into with it. But I really want Neovide to like work well. And I'm trying to do what I can to drive the right UI features and RPC features in Neovim to support Neovide. I want it to work well, but
okay. But this problem will be solved with the feature that you mentioned right now, that you can open files from your editor into Neovim, right into a session or something like that, correct?
Well, that's an extra goal that Neovim that requires like Neovim to solve that. But the session thing, like the existing session, like that's just a matter of passing the right arguments to the Neovim. But like if I double click on Zig, if I double click on this, see it opens in Kitty in a Neovim instance. That's what I want. Ghostty. Ghostty is not giving me this.
I see.
They pretend that it is possible, and I think they're wrong.
Okay. Now that you mentioned Kitty as well, I had an interview with Kovid. He's the creator of Kitty.
I watched it.
Oh, you watched it? What are your thoughts? Because I had a bad image on Kovid, to be honest. Because I don't know why, just videos that you watch on the internet and you just follow along, and after the interview.
Because of his comments on the issue
Yeah,
track.
yeah, exactly because of that. But
he's not shy about
yeah,
he won't just say you're wrong, but let's say you should feel bad. I don't know if that's true. I'm spreading misinformation, but like he's not shy about adding a little spice to
yeah.
to his comments.
But if you come think about it, right? Imagine managing Calibre, because that's his main job. He lives off of open source Calibre, and it's a huge tool. It's an amazing tool. I haven't used it until after that interview. My wife used it, and she's like, "God damn, this tool is wonderful!" Right? So imagine you maintain Calibre,
Your
right?
wife was like, "God damn!"
No, I'm just spreading misinformation, like you said. She didn't do it that way. But imagine maintaining Calibre, maintaining Kitty yourself, right? Man, that's a lot of work. So I guess.
Yeah.
Imagine a lot of issues being opened on Kitty for just.
I'm not the most patient person in the world. I'm amazed that I'm. Yeah, but no, I have no problem with abrupt or blunt maintainers as long as like the parameters are kind of like well understood. Like I don't mind kind of being like, okay, I'm just a customer at the Soup Nazi. That's a Seinfeld reference. It's a very dated Seinfeld reference. Here, I don't. As long as we all understand the parameters, I don't mind dealing with some abruptness, or even some abuse. Maybe as long as my bug is getting fixed.
You're willing to endure.
But I don't think COVID is abusive. Probably he's just. People want to be. People have some very high expectations. Like
from open
one of the
source,
things that a Reddit user told me was like, it was this very weird interaction. It was years ago, and like there was a Reddit thread, and somebody, I don't know who, posted something on Reddit, and I was like enthusiastic about it. I wrote some enthusiastic comments, and then someone else popped in and said, the whole thread seems fake and like astroturfed, and what are you doing this kind of like marketing for? And I'm like, you're wrong. That's not what happened here. I just am enthusiastic about this new feature. This guy posted about it. I'm explaining it. I'm not making any money off of this. What are you talking about? And he's like, and his response was, you should take this as feedback to adjust your behavior in the future, because this is what I perceive as a user. So my point is, like, people will do all kinds of backflips and they never stop asking for more. They never stop. Like their expectations are through the roof. They're into outer space. They think that you should put up with anything and then take it as feedback to adjust your behavior, no matter what the context is. So I completely. So I don't expect that. I mean, obviously, like if the vibe is off, then I might stop interacting on an issue tracker or something. But I think I understand COVID. He's a technical guy. If it's all technical, then it's no problem. But I guess what the point of that allegory was, people don't like his bluntness. Yeah. And so they want him to be like, constantly just
super
gracious
nice.
and infinite patience and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that we'll get more of that, like as we have like more of our AI kind of like, once I have like an AI bot that's like representing me, it's like it will be infinitely patient, and then I will just have much less. I'll have much less of that kind of stuff where I have to like bite my tongue and just
that's a good idea.
Pretend to be nice and patient with people that don't deserve it. Which is not too many people, to be honest. Like I'm mostly grateful for the users and their patience.
There's a few folks out there that are confused on how open source works. I come to open source and I go to a project, and I'm thankful mainly, because of the project, because people putting their work, putting their asses off on a project for nothing in return. Basically, no guarantees, no nothing, just work that they're doing. So I don't expect them to solve my bugs. I just go and ask kindly if someone has the time to assist or something. But there's people confused out there that demand stuff from open source, and you shouldn't. You just take what is out there and just kindly ask. And that's a misconception. That's not something right with the community. Not all of the people do that, but there's a lot that are confused, I think is the right word. Not sure.
Yeah. It's these things come in waves, and it varies, and I don't think that users need to feel like they're not like praying at an altar. You don't need to like it's fine to complain. You don't need to worry about like irritating the ogres that are maintaining the project. But you also, I think the expectations can get too high where they're just expecting infinite graciousness all the time. Because I don't know, some people actually advocate that kind of thing, especially on old Twitter. But then, those people also tend to not be around
for a long time.
They'll have a project for like a year, and they'll be like, "Oh, I look at every issue. I look at every comment as a learning opportunity." Okay, well, you're going to be doing gigabytes of learning because you don't have any like feed. You don't have any like pushback mechanism. That means you're going to be drinking from the fire hose. Like your learning opportunities will be endless.
Yeah.
Good luck. But what they actually do is they just quietly like fade away, and like suddenly the project goes dark, and they're missing out on all these learning opportunities that they aren't answering on the issue tracker.
And
strange.
The project goes into maintenance mode after, and that was it, a year, right?
But it quietly dies, and they miss out on the learning opportunities.
Imagine maintaining huge projects for years by yourself. I would be pissed too, right? Because he does the kitty development for his own work. That's his tool that he uses to work and to develop his other stuff, I guess. But I don't know. I have a lot of admiration for Kovid. He has created a lot of different protocols for terminals, right? The kitty graphics protocol. You also mentioned other ones that have been adopted by Neovim. Do you have any idea? I don't remember. The keyboard protocol.
Yeah, we're using his keyboard protocol, and we will be using the kitty image extension probably.
Oh, for images, okay. He's also working on the variable font size protocol. Have you seen that?
Yeah, we'll probably be doing that too. Yeah.
So turning Neovim into emacs, then pretty much.
Well, it needs to stay fast. Like emacs has struggled with performance. One of the reasons was because it has variable font height and width, which means like there's no grid. The grid is like more like I don't know, bubbles, cellophane, bubble wrap. But that makes the line wrap calculations very slow because every character can have a different width and height.
Okay.
But we probably will only support variable height.
Okay.
So if you supporting a variable height shouldn't hurt performance.
Okay, makes sense. We've been here for a long time, Justin. How much time do you have left? I've been stealing for 2 hours and a half of your Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more like I have maybe 10 more minutes, 15 minutes.
Okay. Let me see what other topics I have here. We don't have any other super chats at the moment. Let me see what other questions I want to ask you. Linux, we touched on that. Terminals. Okay, now, when Neovim 0.12 comes out, when is that happening? Do you have any idea?
We're aiming for... Well, the tentative date was a month, December, but I don't know if we're going to hit that. But this is one of the things that I'm going to spend time on early next year, is putting into place a few missing kind of like project mechanisms for allowing us to release more often. The problem is that we don't have for some of our kind of like interfaces, like say the UI protocol, but we don't really have clear mechanisms for marking those as experimental. People use them, they get dependent on them, they get sad if they break, and that just kind of like adds to the impression of chaos. So we need to kind of have a more coherent story around avoiding that impression of chaos while also being able to release like much more often, because like this sort of twice a year or once a year release thing, it actually slows everyone down. Like we have some amazing features that probably should be released by now, but they aren't because there's high risk stuff that still hasn't been finalized in other parts of the system. Yeah.
Okay. And when that comes around, I don't know if you would like to have like a call with Maria Solano and Gregory Anders, and you just show off Neovim 0.12 features. Each one of you share them with the community and all that stuff. Would be awesome if you guys want to do that. I talked to Maria. She said she's all right. I'll talk to Greg and see what he says. If you're good, an awesome idea. Okay. Now,
yeah.
Moving on to other topics, the final topics, just to get to know you a little bit better. Do you have any thoughts on, this might be a little bit controversial. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but do you have any thoughts on substance, not abuse? Could we say abuse? I did a lot of substance abuse in the past, a long time ago. But do you have any thoughts on drugs, substance consumption, we could say? Do you recommend it? Are you in favor? Are you against? You don't want to answer?
I don't really have any. I have some like high-minded philosophical thoughts on it. Like, I think when I see people like on fentanyl on the street, I think they're probably trying to exit the matrix. They probably have. I think a lot of us, life is very weird. Probably one of those like things that rarely ever gets revisited. Speaking of like OP1s, yearly OP1s, and revisiting like the path that you're on. Very, very few people learn pretty early on in their life to stop asking where the universe came from, because that's just an overwhelming thought. And so you have like scientists saying, well, it came from the Big Bang. Yeah, that's fine, but like that still doesn't explain anything really. Meanwhile, life can get very overwhelming, and probably especially maybe in these times. I don't know, that might, I think everyone thinks the time, there's probably more periods of history than not where it's the notion that that's a particularly difficult period to live in
and before.
That's probably a pretty common thing to say, like in almost every period. Like I think there've been some tranquil periods where maybe people realized this is a pretty nice period of time to be living in, but then so I don't know. It's hard to say if this is any more challenging of a century than the previous centuries. But I think for sure humans in general are more ironic than they ever have been. For sure, you can tell this just by like the types of humor that are in sitcoms or like television shows. Like it's very subtle now. Or like a movie like the like Inception or Severance, this TV show. Like people in 1900 would not have even like understood that, because they hadn't ramped up on, they hadn't been like sort of like acclimated like gradually throughout life to like all these kind of like ironic concepts. So that makes the case for like this being a different period of time where maybe substance abuse seems more attractive than normal. Because I get the impression that Oscar Wilde was just like, I don't think he was doing opium because he was depressed. I think it was just a fun thing to do, like drinking or something. Like, I mean, I think he probably went overboard and probably started to have some issues there, and noticed that his finances were running low. But yeah, I think I have a feeling that like people weren't doing. Although you do hear about alcoholics like ages ago, but were they doing it because they were upset about like the state of the world, or like they had failed in life or something, or did they just accidentally have too much fun and it became a habit?
That happened to me, the latter. Was having too much fun, became a habit, destroyed me, and I was able to get out of it. But not everyone does. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I had a thought about this recently too, about like if you go to rehab and then you come back. I wonder if this happens also if like you go to prison, you come back, assuming you don't have like crushing debt or something, or legal problems. Putting those aside, the world expects nothing of you. Assuming that, is it a state where the world expects nothing of you, and that actually is kind of like a freeing, and it, like a lightness of being, allows you to start over. I'm wondering if that's the case for that kind of situation, because I feel like I would love it if the world had like no expectations of me, you know. And maybe that's one way to get there, is to just like go down to the depths, but also
to reset.
The footnote is that you got to make it out to the other side.
To reset the expectations, right? So you go down to the bottom.
Is that the only way to get people off your back? Like stop.
That's a good
with
point.
All the expectation.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Oh, we have Sylvan Franklin in chat. Have you seen this guy?
Yeah, I like his channel a lot.
Oh yeah, you've seen him?
He's also a philosophical guy.
Yeah, he's into Adderall. He's not into Adderall. Apparently, he's not in the last few videos. Sylvan, are you still into it or not? Or you haven't decided yet? We had a live stream. Let me tell you about this. We had a live stream planned. We joined, all of us, and he never joined. And I was like, Sylvan, are you joining? He never joined.
That was the day he stopped the Adderall.
Yeah, man. Crazy. So we have 2 super chats. I'm a user. Hello, thanks for all the amazing work. I just joined in, so excuse if this was already asked. What are the plans for multi-cursor, Dustin?
The plan for multi-cursor is I made a solemn blood oath to deliver it before the end of this year. So I'm going to merge something before the end of this year. It'll have a big old experimental label on it.
So they get off your back, pretty much, basically, right?
Well, also I made a blood oath. I can't.
Oh, you cannot just not. Oh, okay, I see.
This is do or die.
Okay. And Sylvan saying here, love to see this guy getting to express his ideas in front of more people. Doing good work, both of you. Appreciate the donations, guys. No more Adderall, he says. And he got put on a psych ward that day, so that's why he didn't join the live stream, because he was put on a psych ward. So Arkham City. I joke with him.
That's an acceptable excuse.
Yeah, it is. So I forgave him because of that. And I also wanted to ask you as well, Justin, last question, because I know you got to run. Do you have any thoughts on a supreme being? What are your thoughts on, on that? Do you think there's something out there with a different shape? I don't know. Or there's just Neovim out there. Neovim is the god, or the terminal is the god, or
Neovim is the firmament. I think I don't have. I mostly have a cop-out answer to this because
it's too political.
It's an unsolvable problem. Like it's just an unsolvable problem, and also the answers are mostly unsatisfying. I do think the last 20 years have have done a good job of demonstrating that people need rituals of some kind. People need rituals and like strictures or scriptures or hymns or I don't know, shared something or other. They need some sort of religion. But like regarding God specifically, like everyone always ends up like choosing some sort of religion. It's just that it's either like an ad hoc, like cobbled together sort of like, you know, grab bag of ideas, which is probably where I currently am at. Or it's something that has that benefits of the Lindy effect. It's survived over time, and it mostly works good enough, and it has shaken out most of its bugs, and there might be, you know, it might have a lot of bugs, but they're not like fatal bugs. And whereas the, you know, any kind of ad hoc religion that you come up with is probably going to have it has who knows how many different fatal bugs in it. You don't really know because it hasn't been washed through the pebbles of time. But regarding God specifically, it's partly a definitional question. Like, because when people talk about the Big Bang, well, they're still talking about something that is essentially paranormal or supernatural. Like, it's not something you can reason about, not something you can imagine. And then when people talk about, oh, we live in a simulation, it's like the most NPC opinion you can have, because you're essentially saying that there is also a God above the simulation that created the simulation. Like, such an NPC opinion. I want to make it very clear. If you say that, you're an NPC. You're literally like a shopkeeper saying, "Welcome to my shop," in like a video game that, like you're in like the fourth sequel of a video game.
You need to hit rock bottom to believe there's a God. There's people that don't hit rock bottom, right? They just believe in God because they were told that way. But do you think that's a big factor into making people think there's something out there?
I think having near-death experiences is helpful for getting some relationship with God. Yeah, but Christopher Hitchens was pretty famously stalwart. Even on his deathbed, he was unwaveringly atheist. A pretty smart and thoughtful guy. I bet, like, if he had stuck around another 10 years, then I wonder if his opinion would have changed. There's a lot of good discussion going on in the world, and some new ideas. Every now and then, I used to think that there weren't any new ideas, but like seeing some pretty interesting ideas still.
Okay.
And I don't think they'll stop.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this is the final one. Are there 2 movies that you want to recommend? What are your 2 favorite movies? Which ones would you say? You have any in mind?
I like Blade Runner. I don't know if that's an NPC answer, but that movie speaks to me. Probably because, yeah, Blade Runner.
Let's see, this one?
The original, the sequel was horrible. And the sequel got good reviews from the audience.
Oh, this one.
Those people are wrong.
1982?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it. Okay, but good to know. I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah. That one actually kind of touches on a lot of the current sort of epistemological questions of AI and the nature of consciousness and humanity and all that stuff. I don't watch many movies these days, but that's the first one that popped into my mind.
Okay. No, any other one that comes to mind then?
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. I've heard about that one. Hold on, let me see. Oh, okay. The guy Theena recommended this. I actually, because this is the father of Charlie Sheen, right? This guy, the one that produced it, and he acts on that movie, right? Did you watch by any chance the Charlie Sheen's documentary on Netflix? No. Oh,
No.
he talked about this movie and that he was
Yeah.
there when his father was doing it and all that stuff. Yeah, but Theena, the Ovi Rights guy, also recommended this movie. I think I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. I'm also a big fan of the book. I have a draft of a screenplay like that's kind of like an adaptation of the book to like Afghanistan, the Afghanistan war.
Mhm.
I'm amazed that no one has made this yet. It's such an obvious, like, this needs to be made.
Mhm.
The Afghanistan war is like, it's like the Vietnam War on steroids.
On steroids.
It's in all the wrong ways. Like, it's steroids of
We need Chuck Norris there, right?
it's not really a humorous movie, but maybe.
Oh man. Okay. Any final thoughts? Oh, just man, I keep saying final. No, but what is the best way to support Neovim? Is it through, hold on, my microphone is acting up. Is it through donations, or what is the best way to monetarily support Neovim?
Yeah, the donations go 100% to development work. We don't use it for random made up administrative costs or anything like that. I mean, when someone can work on it full time, we pay them from the donations to work on Neovim full time, and that is one of the outcomes of that is the what I call UI2, or is also called the re-implementation of the messaging interface, which I forgot to demo in Neovim 0.12. A contributor named Luke, L-U-U-K, worked on that. And so that was one use of the donations, but it's gone to many other purposes. And yeah, but being able to do deep work gets good results. And you can't always do these things on nights and weekends, especially the really deep things. And that was a deep change.
And where should people go to donate? Like to the GitHub page, or where's the best place?
They all redirect to the same thing. So if you go to neovim.io, then you can click on, I think...
Let me go here.
Well, the footer on the front page has a link to our sponsors, but actually we need to do a better job of, I think, linking to it. But,
okay. So here in sponsors, right?
Yeah, if you click on that campaign link, that goes to that. So this is one way. This goes to our Open Collective account. And or you can also just go directly to Open Collective. But a while ago, GitHub was matching donations. I don't know if they do that anymore. They probably don't.
Okay. Any thoughts on corporate sponsorship? Like, would it benefit Neovim? Let's say that a big company would say, hey, there's this amount of money that we would like you to have just for supporting Neovim so you can create new features. What are your thoughts on on corporate sponsorships? Are they eyes that you don't want to get into? You don't care? Do you have any thoughts on that? Would it be nice?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the arrangement, but we do have corporate sponsors. Meta gave us $10,000 2 years in a row. That's very appreciated. And also our sponsors on our homepage. I guess they count as corporate sponsors, although I think they're more like startups. But I think we would be eager to consider something like that, unless, there was some weird terms and conditions. But I don't know. Everyone has a price, and ultimately the only thing, like, as long as what comes out of it is like open source code that makes Neovim more useful, I don't think it would be bad, like, unless they asked us to add telemetry or something like inside of Neovim. Like we for example have
like the work terminal. The work terminal that require you to sign in.
Yeah. Yeah. We have rejected offers to add logos to our README just because it makes the README look cringe. We don't want our README to look cringe. So we do that on our website where it doesn't look cringe, it looks sweet. So we do it there, but we don't put it on our README. That's pretty just tacky when people do that. And, yeah, we don't do that. So we also would not do like ads inside of Neovim unless it's like a lot of money, then maybe. But like, I don't think the ad space in Neovim is worth $10 million or $100 million to anybody. So I don't think there's a risk of that. But consider, like, imagine that did happen. As a user, hold on a second. That means we can now fund like 10 full-time developers. Like, we could just take the whole core team and say, guys, we're gonna work on Neovim for like a few years, just like full-time. Doesn't that sound good? That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So
that'll have a good result. And yes, we have to show a little ad on the intro page. That sounds like a good trade-off to me. As long as it's not like a pop-up that pops up when you're like editing your config or something.
Now, let me ask you a question. Would you like to have the ability to stop working at Amazon? I hope your employer doesn't watch this and that they don't care, but would you like to have the ability to stop working there and dedicate full-time to Neovim?
I hope they are watching this. Give me a layout. Give me a severance offer, and I will take it. I'm tired of it.
Yeah. So would you like to dedicate full-time to Neovim if open source was different? If people actually supported open source projects, would you like to live off of open source if possible?
There are like certain things I want to accomplish with it, and I would take, some part of a year out of my life to try to get these things over the fence, and then see where it goes from there. Something that I have not done a good enough job on is like finding kind of more ways to fund the project, like maybe through, I don't know, having like an official taxable entity or something like that. That requires lawyers and it requires paperwork, and it's just something I haven't done. That's a miss from me.
Okay.
As they would say at Amazon.
Okay. Hey, Justin, really appreciate all your time, man. We've been here for 3 hours. Just the last thing that I want to say, just want to thank the CEO because I have people that support me as well, that subscribe to my memberships. There's a guy that pays $50 a month. I'm ripping him off. I feel like I don't deserve it, but he still does it. It's Web23, web23.com. Appreciate it. All of the other members, thanks to you, Justin, for your time, man. Really appreciate it. I'm going to edit this video and I'm going to post it. This is going to go unlisted now, so people won't be able to watch it. There's some folks gonna come and say, oh, and it's now behind the paywall. And no, man, I'm just going to unlist it and I'm going to edit it and then I'm going to post it probably this coming Friday. Today's Sunday, yeah, Friday, because live work and all that stuff gets in the way. So by Friday, I'll have it posted. It's going to be available as a podcast as well in Spotify and all those things. So really appreciate it. Any final words?
No, thank you for having me. And thank you to everyone who watched and sponsored this video.
Appreciate it. Thanks, chat. Thanks, Justin. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.